I'm calling all the moms who want to learn, who want to grow, and be enriched as home educators. My name's Elise Thompson, and I'm the host of the 2026 Charlotte Mason Enrichment Conference. I'm here at the Global Learning Center, and that's this year's venue for our conference. Our theme this year is For the Love of Learning, nourishing the mother and strengthening the homes. Moms, it's so important that we take time out of our routine to be refreshed, to be renewed, and to be reminded of our calling as home educator. And that's exactly what this day is for, is to provide space for you to experience all those things. We're really excited because this year our keynote speaker is Karen Glass. Girl, if you've never heard Karen Glass speak before, you've got to make that a top priority because she's phenomenal. Not only is she phenomenal, we have some amazing breakout session presenters that are going to equip you in your season of home educating, but they're also going to provide space for you just to experience different classes for the love of learning. And so we're really excited for all that's to come for this year's conference. Our conference dates are July 17th and 18th. We're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we have in-person tickets and virtual tickets. So if Tulsa is too far from you, you can definitely join us online for the entirety of the conference. I look forward to seeing you at the conference, either virtually or in person. And let's just do it for the love of learning. Well, hello, and welcome to the Charlotte Mason Enrichment Podcast. I'm your host, Elise Thompson. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We're in the middle of a series called Conference Chats because we are gearing up for our summer conference that's happening in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and virtually July 17th and 18th. And today we're going to be discussing the middle school to high school transition. It could be fun, it could be scary, there could be lots of sentiments that you might feel if you were entering into that season of life with your child. And so we wanted to take an opportunity to unpack that and to equip you as a mom and home educator. And so I'm excited to welcome back to the podcast, Miss Rachel Byrd. Welcome, Rachel, to the podcast.
No, thanks for having me, Elise.
Absolutely. Well, Rachel is no stranger to the Charlotte Mason Enrichment Podcast. She's been on several times, and Rachel has also been very instrumental in helping to come up with some of the content that we're going to be covering at the conference. And so, Rachel, just real quick, if people are new to who you are, would you mind just telling them a little bit about yourself?
All right. Well, I feel like right now I'm in the middle of getting ready for my last year of homeschooling. So that's a really big milestone in my life. I homeschool. I have two kids. One's about to be 20, and then the other will be 17 here in a couple of months. So I homeschooled them all the way through. I was homeschooled myself when I was growing up. And I found the Charlotte Mason method when I was thinking of this the other day, and I can't remember. I remember reading blog posts whenever I was still teaching school. So that was before my son was born. And then I think I got the volumes after, sometime maybe when he was 3. So I've tried, to implement her methods throughout their school, although, we do what we can, and we also do what we can. We're trying to honor the personhood of our children. So yeah, I've homeschooled them. I graduated the oldest already. He's going to be actually a senior at a local college this coming year. And then my daughter will be a senior with me. And so it's the senior year in two different areas. So we'll have 2 different graduations next year. I was like,
wow.
Why are we doing this? But yeah. So I've done Charlotte Mason book studies and things like that. I led a co-op for a little while and taught in my home, all of those things. So just trying a lot of things out as life goes and brings opportunities.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so you and I were spending lots of time going back and forth just talking about like what would really help, Charlotte Mason moms as, they're walking through their educational journey and, we definitely landed on that transition that happens from middle
Mm,
school to high school. And I know my son is going to be in 6th grade, which is like kind of middle schoolish. But
right.
for me, it was like all of a sudden I felt really panicked. Like, oh my gosh, like this is getting real. Are we, doing are we on the right path? Are we making the right choices? Are we making progress that's going to help him succeed? And so, why do you think that is that people like me and other moms, once they kind of leave those elementary years, they kind of have that panic moment as their kids are progressing in their education?
Well, it's probably several reasons, but I think one of the biggest reasons is that you really feel in the elementary school years, it feels like this is going to last forever. And sometimes that's in a good way, and sometimes that's not a good way, but you really feel like you just have all of this time in front of you. And I think by the time you get to middle school and that middle school, high school, you see the end and you also see how quickly it went
Mhm.
before. And so I think that's probably one of the reasons that panic really kicks in those years because you, yeah, you just see the shortness of time. And then you start looking at, I think we all have standards and goals in ourselves for our kids that we don't even fully realize that we have.
Mm,
And we start measuring them up to those standards and goals and go, oh my goodness, they're so far from this or so
yeah.
far from all these habits. And so we kind of go into panic mode thinking that we kind of go into that we are turning out a product instead
Mhm.
of the Charlotte Mason way of building relationship and having the child learn how to build relationship well. So I think in those times, it's just easy to go back into we start comparing them to others. We start comparing it to our own school and,
Mhm.
education growing up. So I think those are a couple of reasons that it can start feeling panicked
Yeah.
in, yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So just like our expectations and like, they just probably get a little out of control or a little ill balance is maybe a better word. And then also we just understand that man, time has gone by so fast and
Right.
it's going to continue to go fast.
It does.
Yeah. So, one thing that I think people are tempted to do, or maybe people have questions, and maybe part of the freak out is can I still implement or should I still implement Charlotte Mason's
Mm.
principles as, they transition into those middle school and high school years? Or should we just say, oh man, we had a beautiful, you know, elementary season and now it's like it's time to really get to it? Like, what has been your experience and what have you observed from other educators?
Well, I think number one, we can absolutely still use her principles. And these are they are educational principles and they relate to the child. But when you dig in, they're also the principles that just relate to life. And so we do start to switch a little bit. I think that's the hard part. It is hard to make that switch from us really calling a lot of the shots in their education and habits into high school where we are being their guide, but really allowing them to try on and see how things go with the principles that we've given them, which means failing sometimes, and then being there to say, oh, hey, when I had a similar problem in school, maybe I looked at these habits, or what are some ways I can help you, and be more of a helper than the one who just structures everything. So that is one thing. But also, I would really encourage people to reflect on what are the skills and what are the things that you want your kids to have at the end of high school. We don't know what our kids are like every little thing they're going to need. But do know for one thing that a child who cares, a high schooler
Mhm.
who cares
Mhm.
and is one of the most important things for their future life, whether it's in their personal relationships, whether it's in future education in college, or whether it's in an apprenticeship or tech school, it's them actually caring.
Mm,
And that's one thing that a Charlotte Mason education brings
yeah.
is caring.
Hmm.
So I would say that definitely does. And I think that we all need to really look at our kids, talk to our kids during this time to see if there are things that they don't feel confident in, that they
Hmm.
maybe need help in other ways, making sure we know kind of if they have any idea for a direction and a path so that we can help them and give them more opportunities to try out, either to build skills or to try out different opportunities, just to give them that confidence, like, oh, I can do these things. Because the biggest part, the one of the biggest things for having a successful either career or life, and I'm talking about success as in purpose filled and caring and relationship filled, is caring. Having that deep, because caring, that's what gives us the motivation to do the hard work
Wow.
of all of the relationships or even the education pieces that you may need that aren't Charlotte Mason. They don't have living ideas yet. If you have an idea, if you really care and I'm trying to think of the word that if you have an end goal in mind, something that you really want to do for the world or for your community, and you have certain hoops to jump through, it makes them easier to figure those things out. If you have that motivation and it's an idea, it's being able to connect with an idea. Yeah.
That's really good. That does make me think about, just what Charlotte says about how it's not so much about what the student knows, but about how much he cares. And so that is a principle that we can grab hold of and implement and make sure that, that's solid in our kids as they're, making that transition. That's really powerful. So how do you feel like the principle and, still implementing them, still honoring them as you've, walked your students through the middle school and high school years? How do you feel like what's some of the fruit that you've seen of that like in your students, probably specifically your son since he's, already graduated, but what does that looked like in him as he's, spread his wings more and had, more freedom and, he's, facilitating his own college education. How can you like look back and say, "Oh, yep, that's attributed to,
Yeah.
all the years of home educating."
Right. Well, one of the things is the habits, the awareness of habits. So
Mm,
it is not that, he had all of these perfect habits when he graduated. That's not the point. It's not attainable. And it's not our goal is for them to
mm,
be this, have all of these habits. But I think the awareness of what habits can do
mm.
in your life I've seen that bear fruit when during rough times or rough seasons, things weren't going exactly maybe. The idea of looking at your habits and saying, how can I change my habits in order to change this outcome? So that is one of the big fruits of a Charlotte Mason education, is really being able, just having an awareness and not just saying, oh, I'm bad at this, or,
Mm,
I don't do well in this area. I can say, okay, maybe I am weaker in this area, but what things can I do and adjust to make it easier for me to do my best in this area? So that is one thing. The second thing is just the ability to make connections and relationships, whether it's with people, whether it's with an idea. I feel like our children they're actually looking for those ideas, because even if they're more hidden in a curriculum that's not living, or in a situation that, maybe as our homeschool, like Charlotte Mason world, we would not have put them in, they're still looking for those living ideas. And they almost become, yeah, it's like a seek and find for those living ideas. They
mhm.
believe they're there, they know they're there. And so I think it gives them a bit more motivation to stick out, even in some harder subjects, to go, I know there's something here.
Wow.
what is it? How can I connect to this in a different way?
Mhm.
So that would be another big fruit of Charlotte Mason principles in your home. And then I'm kind of going through the, habits, living ideas, and then the atmosphere, being aware of your atmosphere and being aware
Mhm.
of the things that you put, even, as they get older in their own rooms and what they want to surround themselves with and people and the activities. I think it just creates an awareness to be more conscientious about that, or that if you're having a rough time to look at those things.
Wow. That's powerful. It's like, wow, it really does work.
Right. Well, and the biggest thing is learning as a parent during that season is learning to keep your mouth shut. I think
Mhm.
it's so hard because you see things and you want to fix them. But just like, I mean, this is really throughout school, but it feels a little bit harder in some ways in this situation because you have so much less control.
Yeah.
But learning how to pray hard,
Mhm.
but also not always answer all the questions and fix all the problems, but point them in a direction that encourages them to seek the Holy Spirit on their own, to look at their habits. And this is when you can become more of a friend in some ways and go, oh, hey, you know what? I had some problems like that. This is what I did. These are some things that helped me. I'm not sure if they'll help you, but I see that. That's difficult, and I'll be praying for you and to
Yeah.
come alongside them in that way. So,
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So, man, I'm excited for your session. And, one of the things that we really strive to do is to really make them practical. It's a balance of being practical and like, how can we give, the tangible help that people need while still honestly recognizing, like, hey, these practical tips are centered around ideas and a philosophy. And so what are people going like what are some things you're going to discuss in your session that will be practical for people?
well, yeah, I feel like I started out thinking, very philosophically and ideas based. And the more I would go through it, the more I realized, people wanted, I think, a bit more practical tips. And so I am really going to focus on the practical tips in this, how it's divided up. I'm going to go through middle school and some tips for ideas on how to do things in middle school to set your child up well, like some things to really work on in middle school that help you to have a smoother transition into high school. I'm going to give some tips on how to do that same thing in high school for that transition almost into college or into whatever they're doing next. And then I'll talk about grades and transcripts, which I'm not going to give a whole lot of tips on grades, but on transcripts and some ways you can do that, some ways to keep information. And then at the end, some reflection topics. I think that reflection, and I'm going to say this also in my session, but reflect, really taking time to stop and reassess your priorities,
Mm,
but also take into account your child's priorities and several other things during this time. So we're going to go over some reflection topics as well, things to
mhm.
think about, and really encourage you to, like, these years speed up and it feels sometimes like you step into a rushing stream and it kind of can take you off your feet. But hopefully, I mean, we can put on some blow up floaties and try to cruise as best we can through it. No, but I'm really hoping that just some tips, some things to think about. Every family is so different. And so I don't expect anyone to walk away thinking, oh, I'm not giving you a plan to take home and do with your family because you have a different family, you have different kids, you have a different situation in your home, even. So, but just some ideas, and then we'll have questions and answers at a question and answer time at the end. So, yeah, I hope it'll be really good and helpful and just give people ideas on where to look
Mhm.
and what questions to ask.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's good, because it's like it's gonna kind of guide you through how to think and prepare mentally for
Mhm.
this season because it's good. It's not formulaic, it's not like one size fits all, but, like,
Not at all,
here's
right.
some thoughts. Here's kind of where to steer, your mind, your thoughts,
Mhm.
so that you can arrive at the desired outcome.
Right. Right.
So
And you have to look at your kid and your um family, but mainly your kid too, to just see, what do I really need to do to help them, make sure they've got the tools to go as far as they can or as they want to after they're out of high school.
mhm.
And sometimes just to remember things that you might forget as you're going through life and raising kids and all the things, just to go, oh hey, put a pin in this, and or maybe check with your child and see what they think
Mhm.
about their lessons or out activities or all of those things.
That's really good. So, Rachel, who do you think would benefit most from your session?
Benefit most, I think, probably parents with a middle school child, or even, sixth grade on up. Those are really going to benefit. I'm sure anyone, I mean, you can take notes, but it's hard to save all of that for too long, that information.
Yeah.
And you'll have the recorded session. But and even in high school, if you have a high schooler, I think that it could be helpful as well, just to take a few things that you think, oh, I still want to implement that,
Mhm.
or that's a something I want to talk to my spouse about or my student about. So yeah, middle school and high school, probably sixth grade and up. If you have a sixth grade student on up,
Okay.
I think that would be good.
That'd be the sweet spot.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I am excited for this session, and for those of you who might be wondering, it doesn't matter if your student is, the path is higher education, if it's tech school, if they're going to serve on the mission field, like it doesn't matter what their next step is. This class is going to be, like we said, it's going to be broad enough that you'll be able to find nuggets and helpful information no matter what your child's next step is. So,
Right.
yeah, we're excited for it. Rachel, oh my gosh, we're like less than 30 days
Close.
away from the conference. It's going to be here so quick. But it's going to be so good. Just a little recap for what's going to happen over the weekend. We're kicking it off on Friday afternoon. Rachel's actually going to be leading a scheduling session. She's going to be walking you through how to schedule your days, how to schedule your months, how to schedule your year. I'm just really getting a really solid game plan so that you've got a good game plan. The days don't feel chaotic, stressful, crazy. And so that's going to be really great. Then later after that session, we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 Charlotte Mason curriculums. We're going to be placing them side by side so that you guys can get a really good look at all of those curriculums to see what's going to be best for your family. We've got users for each of those, seasoned users. And so if there is a membership fee, you'll be able to look past the paywall just to kind of see what's back there. You'll be able to look at books, notebooks, any and everything that you could think of. These ladies are going to be covering that information. Then that night, we're going to be having a dinner. We're going to be having some fun activities, and Karen Glass is going to be sharing. And so that's all that's happening on Friday for our VIP session. It is on a wait list right now, but we are really close to being able to open up more seats. So if you're interested in that, definitely go to the website and get your name on that wait list. Saturday, we're going to have a full day kicking it off with folk and hymns with Hannah Freidemaker. Karen Glass is our keynote session speaker, and she's going to be sharing, just reminding us of the principles of Charlotte Mason and why they're still applicable and how we can implement them into our home and into our education. And then we've got 5 different breakout sessions that are equip classes that are going to equip you as a home educator. Obviously, this is going to be one of them. We're going to have a break and come back for our experience classes. And our experience classes are just to pour back into the moms. We are constantly giving out, we're planning, we're preparing, we're doing our best. And so these experience classes are just for you, just to enjoy being the student for a little bit. And so that's going to happen. And then Karen Glass is going to share part 2 of her keynote session, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A so that if there's any questions that you did not get to ask within the day, that is going to be your chance. We'll have several of our presenters that will be answering your questions, and then we're going to wrap it up with a commissioning service. And so it's going to be a power-packed weekend. So if you have not gotten your tickets yet, my friends, time is of the essence. You have to get your tickets. You can go to charlottemasonenrichment.com/conference to get your ticket. July 1st is when the in-person tickets close. So if you've been on the fence about getting your ticket for the in-person, that's your cutoff date. If you're not able to join us in person, you can join us virtually. You'll be able to watch all the sessions on Saturday. We're working on getting them available for you for Friday as well. But our heart truly is just to pour back into the moms so that you can be encouraged and enriched as you step into this next school year. And so we're just excited for what's to come on July 17th and 18th. Again, the website is charlottemasonenrichment.com/conference. And you can use the code podcast for a little bit of a discount on your ticket. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Thank you again for being a presenter at the conference, and excited that we will get to do this face-to-face, not only you and I, but with hundreds of other Charlotte Mason educators.
Yeah, thank you, Elise. I'm excited, and I can't believe it's so close.
Already here. Yeah. Awesome. Well, friends, that's all the time we have for today. I want to remind us, just like Charlotte said, that the only true education is self-education. And so we're committed. We're never going to stop learning. We're never going to stop growing. And we will see you on the next episode.